4 days of absolutely perfect sailing.
There's dolphins right next to the boat.
Calm seas, clear skies, and just enough wind made the first part of our 15-day Atlantic crossing about as good as we could have asked for when we set sail from Bermuda for the Azores archipelago. But with a sail as long as this, we're bound to run into bad weather at some point.
Definitely like the strongest winds I think I've sailed in.
After spending a year preparing Atticus 2 for exactly this situation, we're hoping that all of that work will pay off and that the boat will be strong enough to see us through the storm. All right, so our 4 days of beautiful, perfect weather and sailing is coming to a close. Now this passage, I'm actually doing something I haven't done in the past, and that is I'm working with a weather router. So somebody that is ashore, has a lot of experience like analyzing weather forecasts, but also like knowing the best strategies on a sailboat to make a passage as comfortable and safe as possible. So the weather router we're using is Charlie from myweatherrouter.com, and he's been super helpful. He's been sending me daily emails, giving me like a 24-hour forecast and kind of synopsis of what we can expect, as well as a description of what the strategy is going to be going forward. And so the conventional wisdom with sailing from Bermuda to the Azores is to sail fairly far north when you leave Bermuda, almost like north-northeast, until you get to the latitude of like 40 degrees, and then hang a right and basically go across the Atlantic, riding the top of the mid-Atlantic high, or like the Azores and Bermuda high. So first of all, we're 4 days out from Bermuda. So here's Bermuda here, and Charlie had us basically going due east ever since we left Bermuda about 4 days ago. But we've been doing it because we have this front that's on the way, and this front has stronger winds the further north you are. So the idea was that if we stayed further south, we'd get a lighter part of that front. So yeah, that's the plan now, and we're gonna just kind of brace ourselves for the winds to pick up over the course of the next couple days, and hope that when this front passes through, it's not too strong.
All right, well, it is getting a little windy, so we are going to put a reef in the main overnight. All right, day 4, delicious dinner. Hopefully the wind doesn't pick up too much overnight, and yeah, good day. Morning of day 5, and I am feeling awful. There's something about knowing that we're not even halfway through that makes moments like this a little bit more challenging and difficult. The feeling of being like pregnancy sick, as I've been calling it, is like very distinct from just being seasick or nauseous, but it's more like a mix of being nauseous, hungry, having heartburn, and being really exhausted. Whereas when I'm seasick, I'm just nauseous. Meanwhile, Jordan is down below trying to fix the head. As I noticed this morning coming up on watch that the head is emptying water, but it's not filling the bowl, so no salt water's coming in.
After getting off of my 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. night watch, the last thing that I wanted to do was stick my head in a smelly bathroom cabinet with the boat rolling one way and the other and troubleshoot a malfunctioning toilet. Working on plumbing in a confined space while sailing offshore, while sleep deprived, really made me question what the hell I was doing out here. But after some slow and sleepy trial and error, I realized that the raw water diaphragm pump seemed to be internally disconnected from its motor somehow, and it needed to be taken apart.
I started to try to disassemble it in place, but I'm not up for it, man. It would be too much for me right now. So I think I'm gonna at least just go to sleep right now. We can flush the toilet. If it's number 1, we can just flush it without water. And then if it's number 2, we can flush it with fresh water until I can try to get this resolved. And if I can't, that's not the end of the world. Our water maker can keep up with that. Alright, so, gosh, I am like fully losing track of time now. It's 1 in the morning. I think it's our 5th night underway. The wind is picking up, like big time. We are in like 20 knots of wind right now. We've got that front that's kind of coming in behind us, and we're basically trying to outrun it. You know, we say things like, oh, I sailed across the Atlantic, and like I'm definitely gonna say that once we've done this, but like in a lot of ways the boat does all the work. Our job is just to like babysit the systems, and then beyond that it's like trimming sails, reefing sails, and like adjusting course. I am just starting to really get an appreciation for this boat, what it's capable of, how gracefully it handles just this huge variety of conditions that get thrown at it. Now the next 48 hours are gonna be a big test. It's gonna suck, but I've got a feeling that it's gonna handle it like a champ.
Alright, good morning. Just getting off my watch from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. and it was a very rolly night. It's hard to explain how much motion we're experiencing. It's just kind of like a full-on ab workout to not fall over. The cockpit is very salty. The deck is very wet. I'm very much looking forward to hanging up my foul weather gear and curling up in bed.
Okay, so the moment has almost arrived. The front is on its way. In a lot of ways, like this is probably gonna be the gnarliest part of what is kind of a gnarly thing to do already. And so we're kind of getting prepared for that. Main thing we need to do is prep the 3rd reef in the mainsail, because we don't always have that up. I'm gonna set up the new reefing line. We got Steve on the halyard, and we got Jen on the bass guitar, like we're a band.
What Jordan doesn't know is we've swapped his normal 3rd reef reefing line with shoelaces. Let's see if he finds out.
Okay, so yeah, this is like such a better motion. It's crazy. Cool, well I'm burning up hot. I gotta slip into something.
less comfortable.
Yeah, the joke has been now that like whenever we have to come on deck to do something, we have to put our foul weather gear on. We're like, let's slip into something less comfortable.
A little less comfortable.
All right, so I'm relieving Jen up here. Things are getting windy. What do you think, Jen?
I know I'm the crazy one of the bunch, but this is exhilarating, and I've never felt so alive in all my days. This is fun.
Well, I can safely say I look forward to when the wind comes down again. But yeah, the motion is getting difficult. It's just hard to do anything now. Even going from like my bunk to out here is like 2 feet, 2 hands, like at all times holding on to stuff, you know. It has severely affected our moment-to-moment experience, you know. At least one person is having a good time.
I'm already very prone to getting seasick, more so than most sailors I've met, and being pregnant has definitely exacerbated my symptoms. Although I'm normally able to cope with it, what I wasn't at all prepared for on this Atlantic crossing was confronting the fact that this wasn't going to end anytime soon. After 3 days of rough seas, my body was already starting to give up on me, and I honestly didn't know how I would deal with another 10 days of feeling this way.
You okay, buddy?
I feel a little bit hopeless.
It is the hardest part, you know? And the boat's doing fine. You just gotta lay down and wait it out, you know? Sorry you're not feeling good.
Can't wait for an anchorage.
Yeah, so it's everything is happening right now. Big waves. Every now and then we kind of bang into a wave and like take a lot of ocean water onto the boat. And now it's just started pouring rain. I'm on watch and I'm not really sure why I'm even up here in a lot of ways. There's so little I can do and the boat's just chugging along. Definitely like the strongest winds I think I've sailed in, at least for a prolonged period of time.
Alright, well Well, it's about 3 a.m. It's kind of crazy because at first, when I come out on deck, everything feels so intense. I can feel the wind just whipping us around. I can hear the wind. It is loud. It's kind of a sensory overload. But then, you know, you just kind of get used to the motion and the spray and the fact that you need to hold on. Just another day in paradise, man. Living the dream.
Okay, we got a big rain squall that came through. We had a couple through the night, but the last one that came through just like totally sucked all the wind out. So we've got like 9 knots of wind coming from directly behind us. And so we've got the engine running to try to basically get out away from the actual front itself. It's forecast to kind of dissipate here. And if we can get in front of it, then we can get into the good winds for heading north again. Yeah, now add to the equation like the exhaust smell of the engine because the wind is right behind us. I'm feeling a little seasick. I think everyone is like a little sleep deprived and like a little hungry. So it's like the human element of like the discomfort does get a bit extreme.
Going through like a Nintendo simulation with like different levels on this watch. So level 1 was just motoring through pretty bumpy seas. Level 2 was navigate the boat through a lot of rain. Level 3 is just dealing with the wind direction changing a lot. Was that a boss? So we just let the mainsail out of it because the wind's coming almost directly from behind us. Tidied up the reefing lines a little bit, and now I'm just tidying up the cockpit. Whew, this was a long watch. But the sun's out, we're sailing a little bit, so mission accomplished. Jordan and Steve are going up front to set up the whisker pole because we're going dead downwind and we've got the engine going, but we're going to try to just sail.
So we went to pull the line that opens the jaw for the pole, and the line just snapped. I think mostly because it was like UV damaged, but it like chafed on the little hole that was going through. Once the ocean like settles down a little bit, we can think about fixing this.
All right, let's do a crew check-in. How you feeling, Jen?
Other than getting beaten up by the galley goblins, I'm pretty all right.
Just really frustrated. I just hate these conditions, you know? Like just barely enough wind to sail by. We've got a waypoint that's putting the wind right on our ass. The motion is extreme, so putting the pole up would be just a nightmare.
Do you want to hug?
How about you, Mama? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling okay. The rain kind of got me out of a funk, which was nice. How about you, Oso?
Okay, so the fun continues. It looks like we just chafed through our first reef clue line. And you can see here, the sail is just like drooping down. I'm going to attempt to like run a new line through the boom. Luckily, we actually have a spare for exactly that line. I started to change the reef line out, and I had to hurry because there was a squall heading our way, and night was quickly approaching. But the job turned out to be bigger than I thought, and I was really tired, since this all happened just as I was heading down to go to bed. So before we got hit by the squall, I decided to just tuck in a second reef in the main, and to deal with the chafed first reef line in the morning. But wrangling in the unruly sail took a lot of energy, and to do it quickly before the squall hit really took it out of me. That was tiring.
Sir, you just earned yourself an off dog watch. I'm taking your shift.
All right. Well, today was a really, really exhausting and chaotic day. Mostly because the winds kept on changing direction and speed. and the seas were confused and very, very rolly. I think you could safely call today the day that everything decided to break. When Jordan was coming down on his last watch, the companionway was open and we just took on a huge wave down the stairs. So everything that we keep down below, right around the companionway, just got drenched. The floor got drenched. Oh, and then we went through the refrigerator today and found some like rotting vegetables. We had to kind of purge. We got 3 hours of watch right now. I'm hoping that nothing crazy happens, so we could all use a little bit of a break right now.
All right, well, I was able to get some sleep last night, which I think I really needed, because when I saw that reefing line had chafed through, I literally had no like problem solving abilities. My brain was just like, there's nothing we can do about that. But I'm feeling like so much more like with it today. And so I'm gonna see if I can head up there and see if Jen and I can pull the old reefing line out and either reuse it or use it to reeve a new reefing line. Okay, go ahead. I think it's working. Yes! Nice! Once we were able to access the chafed reefing line, I was able to use that old line to pull the new line through, which made the job a lot simpler, but it still took us a while to do, including the fact that we had to fold the Dodger forward for me to access the part of the boom that the reefing line tied to. Okay, got the new reefing line in and it looks like it's gonna work. And you can see what happened with the old one. The block that the line goes through, like the lead doesn't work out to be perfectly fair. And so the line chafes on like the side of the block. That'll work for now. We'll just have to keep a really close eye on it. Ooh, okay. That's a lot to do while underway. Kind of hilarious how exhausting doing anything is. Before we left on this trip, you know, we had all been hanging out talking about what we were excited about. And one thing I was talking about is how in your day-to-day life, like you are in the safety net of civilization. And like we were leaving that voluntarily and we were gonna only have ourselves to rely on. I like the idea in concept, but now that I've been doing it for a week, it's a little bit stressful. Out here, it's like there's nothing and no one. It's like just now we went to turn the engine off and like it wasn't turning off and I couldn't figure it out and I started freaking out just thinking like, what am I gonna do? Like as it turned out, Desiree was like, oh, maybe it's not fully in neutral. And so we like put the throttle into gear and then put it back into neutral and then yeah, we were able to stop the engine.
Also, when you're dealing with it, you're in a time crunch. You've got like 3 people looking at you for direction. The boat's moving around. We're all sleep deprived, a little bit cranky. So like, it just kind of compounds, you know? It's funny because like this morning I went to the map and like zoomed way out, thinking that it would give me a boost of energy and confidence to be like, we're almost there. It did the opposite. Like we're still just like in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. I'm like, oh come on.
I think that we're gonna feel a lot better here when it stops raining.
Yeah. Let's see your bruises, Jen.
There's this lovely
man, that's like purple.
There's this lovely one.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
And there's this lovely one.
What about you, bud?
I mean, just that, I think.
I've got like minor ones, like
yeah.
here.
All right, well, you made some popcorn just in time for the rain.
I figured we could all hang out and enjoy some crew time, and then it starts raining.
You know, we were supposed to be out of this squally mess and into some good wind today, but it looks like the area that's affected by these squalls is just larger than forecasted, and so we've just had kind of intermittent wind all day.
Still better than the previous 24 hours.
Yeah, that's true. So, how are people feeling today?
A lot better.
Like $100. I have no idea what $1 million feels like.
I think all of us have had showers recently, so like collectively the boat smells better.
Yeah, so Desiree showered today,
I did.
and Oso showered today.
Yeah, he's nice and floofy.
Five.
Which which city's Summer Olympics was South Africa readmitted after 32 years of suspension for its apartheid policy?
All I know about the Olympics are the winter, like figure skating Olympics. People jump in the air and do double axels and triple axels.
Wow.
Munich.
The answer is Barcelona.
Which song, originally recorded by Gloria Jones in 1964, was a worldwide hit for Soft Cell in 1981? Tainted Love.
Oh, yeah.
Good song.
Got to run away. I've got to get away.
All right, we finally found the wind. How's it feel, Jen? This is the delight that the sailors experience. Yeah, it was last night, and like, Jen's like, ah, yes, red sky at night, sailor's delight. And it was just like raining on us, and we're like soaking wet. And Jen's like, when's that delight gonna come? It's funny that our bar of what is comfortable when sailing has changed so much, because when we started this trip, it was like perfect calm conditions, you know, like 11 knots. I mean, I can say right now I am as comfortable as I was, and it's probably like 15 or 16 knots. And Steve's down there cooking one of his like gourmet meals, and I think we, like, knock on wood, are supposed to have wind with us for like the foreseeable forecast. I'm very optimistic about the next couple days.
It's really crazy what a difference that it makes in like morale and everything when you turn off that engine and you don't smell that diesel and all that you hear is the sound of the water lapping up against the boat. It's just perfection.
It's kind of amazing how low I can get one day and feel like I'm never gonna feel good again. And then the seas calm down, the sun comes out, I get a good night of sleep and a hot meal, and suddenly my outlook on the world completely shifts, and I have hope again. And I feel like I can take on whatever challenges lay ahead of us. I think anytime I'm ever in a dark place like this again, the best thing for me to do is just hold on, get through it, and have faith that things will be brighter on the other side.